Hey everyone, it's a Friday afternoon, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update of things that have been going on around here, things have been going on in the Montana disability world over the last week, and get you updated before you run into your weekend. So this week I think of the phrase worst to first a lot. I'm working on lots of little things like grants and trying to watch to see what the Congress is going to do with our funding next year. But as far as advocacy goes, we have a lot of problems, but I think we're turning the corner on a lot of them, and we're moving from last place to first place. And I think that is incredible. It's an exciting time in the disability community. So this week I was meeting with many leaders, both in state government, in different businesses that serve people with disabilities, national experts on how services are put together. We are working on figuring out how to serve people with dementia in the community. And you may say, well, there's lots of people with dementia living in the community. That's absolutely true. But there's a subsect of that group that nationally is often just discarded into psychiatric hospitals, that local nursing homes don't serve them, can't serve them, they can't stay home. Ultimately, the last place that they end up is the state psychiatric hospital. Not because psychiatric hospitals have good services for people with dementia. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services usually cite states that are doing this. As they have in Montana, we have a unit called the SPRAT unit, and the legislature said we need to get those people with dementia and other cognitive disabilities that are keeping them at the state hospital. We need to get them out in the community. So last session, I worked with Senator Lenz, and so did some other people in my office and some other, his staff and other legislators, to get a law passed that would create an entirely new way of thinking about diverting people with dementia from the inpatient mental health system and serve them in intensive in-home type settings. And so that's great. We met this week to talk about what's that going to take on the provider side. What's it going to take to hire for those people? What are the rates going to have to look like to make this work? So the real nitty gritty stuff, but we are doing the work. And one of the things is no one else in any other state has really tackled this issue and pushed in this direction that we're going, where we're going to pull people out of the civil commitment process and keep serving them in the community. So it's really exciting to see where the problem of the SPRAT unit has pushed us to be creative, and ultimately we'll be a national leader if we can get this thing off the ground. Another worst to first story is you've probably seen posts from me, the settlement of the age 22 case, as we call it, where Montana schools were the last in the country to age out students at 18 who have disabilities who hadn't yet graduated. Now we join the rest of the country in serving kids after 18. And there is a new court order that says every high school must offer education till 22 to students with disabilities who have IEP plans. You can learn more about all of the particulars of this in a training house. I'll tell you about here. But students with disabilities can continue going to school until they're 22 to gain life skills, to gain employment skills, to gain all of the ready for adult type stuff that all students need when they go to high school. So that's great. We are jumping into this new school year, and there is a short 30-day window where students who were told they aged out last year can actually re-enroll now and get back into school for another 4 years. So we want to get the word out on that, and that's that training I mentioned just a second ago. We have a training up on our YouTube page. Just go to Disability Rights Montana in YouTube and you'll find us. And there's a training from Tall, our advocacy director and lead counsel in this case, who explains to students and their families and teachers, what is this case all about? Who does it apply to? Can I keep going to school? So check that out. And then the third and final worst to first story I wanted to mention to you is our mental health system for youth. I think anyone who has dealt with it as a parent or as an advocate or as a provider or as a child in the system, you know that our system isn't great. And So much so that has caught national attention, and the U.S. Department of Justice is investigating whether or not our mental health system for youth in Montana violates the civil rights of youth with mental illness. And their disability rights section from the Civil Rights Division is going to be out here in Montana next week with 2 teams, one on the east side of the state, one on the west side of the state, visiting different service providers, meeting with people in person, and then also holding community meetings in the evenings where anyone who has information and wants to share it can share it. So you can look back at some of our earlier posts this week and see info on where those 4 different community sessions are going to be, when they are. There's pizza provided at all of them. So you're thinking, can I squeeze this into a long day? I think it's worth squeezing in if you can. If you can't, you can also call the investigators directly and set up an individual time to be interviewed by them. But this is one where we're still working on it. Disability Rights Montana is interested in this issue. The U.S. Department of Justice is interested in this issue. And I know everyone who's been impacted by it is interested in getting it fixed. So the first worst to first is really rolling along. So is that second one. This third one is trailing those. It is still closer to worst than first, but I will say the fact that Department of Justice is sending 2 teams of lawyers out here for an entire week to meet with people and review the actual on-the-ground treatment settings, and I know they've been investigating this for months, that is a real big positive for the youth of Montana. We can do better. We should expect better. So let's improve our mental health system. It's getting DOJ in here to take a look. I think that's a big step forward. We are moving towards first. We've just got to keep the momentum on, and that requires the community showing up and sharing their stories. So I really appreciate the brief moment to just drop in on a Friday. I hope this is helpful. I'll be seeing you next week, of course. Until then, keep building the disability community across Montana.